The house always smelled faintly like fresh paint. My mother still liked to mention that whenever people visited, as if it had happened by accident, as if houses simply renewed themselves over time. I sat at the dining table looking around at the place. New floors. The kitchen island I'd had installed 3 years earlier. The soft recessed lighting that replaced the old buzzing fixtures my dad used to complain about. My sister was explaining something about her graduate program. She had a way of speaking at the table, like she was presenting a lecture. My father nodded along proudly. "Master's degree," he said. "That's real work." My sister smiled and tucked her hair behind her ear. I focused on cutting my chicken into smaller pieces than necessary. The conversation drifted the way it always did when I visited. Education, career paths. People who had done things the right way. I had heard versions of it my whole life. I left college halfway through my second year. The business I started afterward worked for a while, then failed. The next one worked better. The third one worked well enough that I bought this house for my parents and quietly handled their debts when things got tight. But none of that fit the story my family liked to tell about me. So it stayed mostly unmentioned. My sister finished describing her thesis topic. My dad leaned back in his chair, satisfied. Then he pointed at me with his fork. "Don't get me wrong," he said. "Your brother does all right." A small pause. "He pays the bills." My sister gave a short laugh. My father continued, amused with himself. "But he'll always be the dumb one without a degree." The laugh this time was louder. My sister snorted into her drink. My mother didn't laugh. She just took a slow sip of wine and looked down at her plate. No one seemed particularly uncomfortable. It was just one of those jokes that had existed for so long nobody questioned it anymore. I felt something shift quietly in my chest, not anger exactly, more like the final piece of a puzzle sliding into place. I looked around the dining room. The mortgage payment that left my account every month, the property taxes, the kitchen appliances, the insurance policy covering the house, the utilities. All things I had set up because it was easier that way. My dad started talking about a neighbor who had just retired early thanks to his engineering career. The conversation moved on. No one noticed that I had stopped eating. I left not long after dinner. My mom hugged me near the door. "Drive safe," she said. The night air outside was cool and quiet. The porch light cast a soft circle on the driveway. I sat in my car for a moment before starting it. For years I had told myself the jokes didn't matter. Families had roles. Mine just happened to be the one people underestimated. But tonight something felt different. Maybe because my father had said it so casually. Like it was simply a fact about meat. Pook. Back at my apartment, I opened my laptop. The first thing I did was log into the account that handled the house utilities. Electricity, water, gas, each one had a small link labeled Transfer Responsibility. I clicked through them slowly, entering my father's information where required, not out of anger. Just correction. The house had always been theirs. Now the bills would be too. Next was the insurance policy. That one required a quick phone call scheduled for the next morning. Then the streaming services, security monitoring subscription, internet plan, all small things. But they had been running quietly through my accounts for years. By midnight the list was finished. The house itself stayed in their name. I had insisted on that from the beginning. But the invisible system, keeping everything smooth, had been mine. Now it wasn't. The next afternoon my phone buzzed while I was working. "My dad," I answered. "Hey," he said. "Something weird happened. The power company called this morning." I leaned back in my chair. "Yeah. They said the billing got transferred to me?" "It did." A pause. "Why?" I watched a cloud drift slowly across the window. I figured it made more sense that way. Another pause. "That's sudden, I guess." He didn't sound angry. Mostly confused. "We thought you were handling that stuff." "I was." Silence stretched between us. Then he cleared his throat. "Well, I suppose we'll sort it out." "Yeah." We ended the call without another word. A few days later my sister texted, "Mom says you changed all the accounts. Is everything okay?" I stared at the message, then typed a simple reply, "Yeah, just making some adjustments." She didn't respond. I drove past the house a week later on my way to a meeting. The porch light was on again. Inside, through the living room window, I could see my parents watching television the way they always had. Nothing looked different. But I knew the next set of bills arriving in their mailbox would carry my father's name. And for the first time in years, the quiet structure supporting that house didn't run through me. It didn't feel like revenge. It felt more like stepping out of a role I had been playing for too long. The strange part was realizing how easy it had been to leave it behind.